People love to say The Exorcist was just a movie, but the truth behind it wasn't fiction at all. It began with a quiet boy, a Lutheran family, and a name the world wouldn't learn for 50 years, Roland Doe, the child whose story would become the most famous exorcism in American history. A story so disturbing, the church buried it. A story so real, it left scars on the men who witnessed it. This is the case that turned a teenager into a battleground and made priests believe in something darker than sin. Roland wasn't a violent kid. If anything, he was lonely, quiet, intelligent but withdrawn. His best friend was his Aunt Harriet. She gave him books, taught him Latin, and, most importantly, introduced him to something fun, a way to talk to spirits and Ouija board. At first, it was a game, letters sliding across the board, giggles in the candlelight, questions answered by the invisible. But when Aunt Harriet died in 1949, everything changed. The board didn't stay quiet, and neither did the house. Enter Father Raymond Bishop, a Jesuit priest with a steady hand and a secret diary. He and Father William Bowden, a tough war veteran, met the boy in St. Louis. At first, they thought it was psychological. Trauma, grief, a cry for help. But Roland spoke in languages he never learned, growled in voices he'd never heard. Objects moved when he entered the room. And when the priests opened prayer books, Roland hissed, like an animal backing into a corner. Bowden wrote, "This is no ordinary case." He was right. The first rite lasted hours, the boy's body contorted, twisting into shapes a human skeleton shouldn't allow. The mattress shook. Holy water burned his skin, rosaries snapped, crucifixes bent. Every night the room grew colder, so cold the priest's breaths turned to fog. Father Bishop documented a moment he never forgot. Roland's eyes rolled back, and a voice that wasn't his whispered, "He is mine." The priests kept going. 30 nights of battle, 30 nights of screaming, shaking, chanting, and shadows crawling up the walls. Then came the final night. April 1949, a hospital room, dim lights. Roland strapped to a bed, priests surrounding him with holy water and Latin rites. The boy's face twisted, his body levitated, and one single word carved itself into his chest: exit. Moments later, a scream tore through the room, a sound so violent the nurses swore it wasn't human. Then, silence. Roland collapsed back onto the mattress, breathing normally, eyes calm. The scratches stopped, the shaking stopped, everything just stopped. And the demon, if that's what it was gone. For decades, no one knew what happened to Roland, but eventually, researchers uncovered his name: Ronald Edwin Hunkeler. He grew up, got a job, worked at NASA, helped design heat shields for space travel. Quiet man, kind, never talked about what happened. But people who lived near him, they said when he slept, he sometimes whispered in another language, one no one recognized. When he died in 2020, the priests who performed the exorcism were long gone, but their diary remained. A single line circled at the bottom of the final page. This was not illness. If Roland's story was a lie, why did the church risk everything to hide it? If it was just trauma, why were trained Jesuits terrified? And if demons don't exist, what exactly answered when Roland called? Some stories fade with time, others never truly end. Because sometimes the darkest battles are the ones fought behind closed doors, between a child and something we don't have a name for.